What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. In this video, we are looking at the NBA slate for Wednesday. We have 9 games starting at 7 o'clock, with 8 of the 9 games are tipping off before 8:30, or before 8 o'clock. So it's going to be a pretty early night, and then you have one late night game where a lot of people will try to get a piece from. I probably will do that as well, just especially from the Sacramento side. They're probably still shorthanded. But let's go ahead and get started. As always, if you enjoyed the videos, appreciate it. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Looking to get back on track tonight. Yesterday, the Blazers players did what we kind of expected. The Raptors did not. They struggled to score all night against Memphis, who were like the worst defensive team in the league. So that was frustrating. Siakam was in foul trouble all night, but it is what it is. We move on to tonight, where we have a lot more options. So hopefully we can kind of pick the right ones. At point guard, a couple of guys above 10K are Luka is 11.6. He's fine. KP might not play today. That would be it's not really a big bump for Luka or anything like that, but maybe just gets more shots off because Porzingis has been shooting a bunch and he has been playing pretty well this year. The matchup is solid for Luka. If you wanted to play him, I don't mind it. I don't mind saving $1,200 and going down to LaMelo Ball. They are shorthanded right now in terms of just not having much bench depth, and they're still missing Plumlee. They do not have Cody Martin today. So you're missing at least two guys in the rotation that would have played mid-20s in minutes. Once again today, LaMelo Ball's just been playing more minutes. Not super more minutes, but he has the opportunity to play more minutes because of that. He just gets a lot of usage out there. 3 straight games with 13 and plus assists. Has the ball in his hands a bunch. Shoots the ball a good amount. Even a bad shooting night still put up 54. Gives you triple-double upside at basically every single game at this point now. So I like him. Probably slightly more than Luka, just saving $1,200. The matchup is not the best on paper, but Milwaukee plays super fast. So if Charlotte's able to stay in this game, I feel pretty good that they will make it competitive. And the fantasy scores will be pretty high for both teams. You have Trae Young at 98. He's pretty expensive. I prefer getting up to LaMelo Ball. De'Aaron Fox is priced up to 88. I will pass on that price tag on Fox. Pass on the Bradley Beal price tag as well. Don't really play Bradley Beal unless there's no Dinwiddie. He hasn't been great for fantasy at all this year. Cole Anthony's back, but they don't have Jalen Suggs now, so he's okay. He's 79. Don't know if he'll be limited or anything like that. He's sandwiched in between two other guys that I feel a little bit better about. They're not coming back from injury. They have good spots. The tough spot for Orlando going up against Denver. So I probably prefer SGA. I prefer Malcolm Brogdon at 77. Brogdon plays big minutes every single game. That is competitive. Played 40 minutes last game against Minnesota. He's going up against Atlanta now. There's a chance there's no Miles Turner, and there's also no Justin Holiday today for them. So even more opportunity to give Brogdon 40 minutes again. Lowry, if there is no Jimmy Butler, he looks appealing. Butler and Bam are both questionable, so keep an eye on them. If they're out, be a sizable bump for Kyle Lowry, be a bump for Tyler Hero. They're both above 7K already, but I probably prefer Hero over Lowry if both of Bam and Butler are out. I don't mind going to Kevin Porter Jr. once again. The Houston Rockets on a roll. They're on a 3-game winning streak. KPJ, even off of a dreadful 4 of 17 shooting night, he put up 49 fantasy points. He's been contributing in all aspects with rebounding, assisting, and just taking a lot of shots and scoring the ball a little bit. The matchup is the same one as last game that they played the Thunder. Only difference is they're on the road this time after 3 straight home wins. I'm not worried about it. This is a game where sometimes you're worried about Houston being able to keep it close or not, but against the Thunder, I really have no problems. KPJ has put up 49 and 47 in the 2 meetings against the Thunder this year. The price tag has gone up, but there's just so much more usage for him, for Christian Wood without Jalen Green, who was taking up a lot of usage, and there are better chances of these games being more competitive now that Jalen Green isn't playing heavy minutes because he's been so far struggling. Other plays that we can look to at the point guard position, they kind of priced up Terry Rozier. He's 72. A lot of these players on DraftKings are priced up, so there's not a ton that really sticks out. You're going to have to hope that some injury news opens up some of these guys in the 6K range. The 5K range, you have Karis LeVert. Looks appealing. No Justin Holiday. Good amount of opportunity for LeVert to get like 30-plus minutes. Brunson at 5K. If there's no Porzingis, they could start Brunson. I wouldn't be surprised they've done that in the past, and if that is the case, I like $5,000 Jalen Brunson. His price tag has completely dropped from 73 to 69 down to 5K. Other plays that look appealing would be in the 4K range. You can go Devontae Graham at only 46. TJ McConnell started Last game, he didn't play well, but he played 34 minutes. He started in place. I mean, they went small. They played Sabonis at the 5, and they started McConnell in place of Levert. I mean, in place of Miles Turner. If that happens again, he's definitely worth a shot. Any team going up against Charlotte should have some interest. They're giving up like the most fantasy points in the NBA this year. Every single game that Charlotte plays seems to be super high scoring. At the bottom, you have like Davion Mitchell, RJ Hampton. Nobody that looks that appealing. They're just kind of guys that do a plug-in if you make a bunch of teams. At the shooting guard position, top end, you have LaMelo Ball. I'll plug him in right now at 10-4. He's the only guy above 10K at the position, only guy above 91. Brown is questionable. He's not been playing heavy minutes since he's been back. Maybe that changes today. I expect him to play. He had 2 days off, so wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't expect him to sit in a somewhat important game against Philly. It's like a conference game, and a rivalry game. But I'm not looking to pay 91 for Brown. I'm not looking to pay 9K for Beal. Edwards is questionable. His price tag has also jumped up to 86. So even if he does play, I'm not that interested in Russell's price at 84. Like a lot of these, like I mentioned, a lot of these guys' price tags have gone up by like $500 to $1,000. The value plays would be Kelly Oubre Jr. at 54. He's been getting heavy minutes recently, and that's no surprise. He's been playing very well, and there's just a lot of, with not having Plumlee, there's more opportunity to give Oubre more minutes, and they're also missing Cody Martin, who was playing like 20-plus minutes off the bench, and he's out once again, so Oubre should look at 30-plus minutes. I like his price tag at 53. You could go up to 63 for Gordon Hayward. He never gets that much ownership, but he typically is just productive, getting you into like the 30s, occasionally can get over 40. If he has a really bad shooting night, you're going to be looking at like the teens. So a slight risk, but normally he plays 35 minutes in a close game and has been pretty productive about like 80% of the time this year. Looking for some value, could be Duncan Robinson, coming off of a terrible game, but if there's no Butler, I don't mind going back to Duncan Robinson. You have Kevin Huerter. They are shorthanded. Cam Reddish is questionable, and they have already ruled out. Obviously, DeAndre Hunter is out, and they're missing Bogdanovic, so there's a lot of minutes to go around for guys like Kevin Huerter here. If Cam Reddish does play, he's only $3,400. He would look appealing just because he's so cheap, and we'll be looking at 25 minutes around that. So he's a good value play. Keep an eye on him. Moving on to power forward. The top end, you have Giannis. He's 12-1. He's super expensive. It is a good spot if you wanted to get to him. Right now, we need some more value because it's tough to pay 12-1 for Giannis at this point. If Porzingis is out, that would open up some value. You can go to like one of the centers. Maybe go to Maxi Kleber at the power forward or center position. We have PJ Washington at $5,100. He came off the bench, but he still played like his usual minutes, 32. They started Nick Richards, and he played like 7 minutes last game. So this one against Milwaukee, you wouldn't be surprised if PJ Washington starts. He seems to match up better against Bobby Portis, who does shoot threes. Both guys like to shoot threes and can shoot some mid-range and get to the rim a bit. So I think Washington will start. He's at a pretty good price tag at $5,100. Maxey is 43, looks good if there's no Porzingis. I don't mind going to Marcus Morris. He's back. He played 34 minutes. Then he got the next game off for rest because it was a back-to-back. But they're going to need him to kind of step up in place of Kawhi at this point. He's missed so much time so far this year with injury, but now that looks like he's fully healthy, his price tag should probably slightly rise by the time, in the next couple of months. I like Check Metu as a solid value option. He's only $3,800. There's most likely not going to be Harrison Barnes today. If he does happen to play, then you can get off of Check Metu, but I don't expect Barnes to play, and then Bagley missed yesterday's game due to an illness. If he's not able to play again on a back-to-back, then Metu would be looking at probably 30-plus minutes, starting at power forward, and he does give you a double-double upside. A double-double at this sort of salary would be really good and really just pay off, and he does give you upside in like the mid-30s. So right now, I like Check Metu as a good value play. At center, you can pay up for Jokic. Jokic and Giannis are similarly priced. I prefer Jokic, $300 cheaper. Wanted to save $1,000, you can go down to Embiid. You have other guys in the 9K range. Valanciunas coming off of an absolute monster of a game where he shot 7 of 8 from 3, put up 71 fantasy points. He was an absolute monster. Good spot against Dallas, so I probably wouldn't want to chase it because I think some people would. But it is a good spot. I wouldn't mind it. Like, if you end up with some Valanciunas, you should probably feel happy about that. Sabonis, if there's no Turner, he starts at center. That looks better for him. It is not an easy matchup, though. Like, they play, Atlanta has two bigs in Collins and Capella, and Capella has been pretty much a force on both ends, especially on the glass. And then you have Cat. If there's no Edwards, he would look like better just because he would get a lot more usage. Right now, I'm going Christian Wood at 89. I just feel solid about Wood and Porter, even though their price tags have gone up. Like, both guys give you monstrous upside. They are just like the focal point on the team. And in close games, you're seeing these guys play heavy minutes. Wood only played 31. They won by 13. Maybe he was in slight foul trouble, but overall, gives you monster rebounding upside. And the ball will just touch Christian Wood's and Kevin Porter's hand on most possessions. So I don't mind going to like Cat, going to Valanciunas. But if Wood isn't that popular at this price tag, I feel pretty good about it. He does give you big upside. Looking at some value plays, would be Richaun Holmes at just 58. He came back from missing a couple of games, played 33 minutes against the Lakers last night, was awesome out there, 12 of 13. He shoots most of his shots right at the basket, so there's no real chance of him shooting poorly. He's shooting 71% on the season, and most of that's coming inside the paint. The price tag on him is super cheap for a guy that's averaging well over 1 fantasy point per minute. He's like at 1.25 or 1.3 fantasy points per minute. You give him 30 plus minutes. If there's no Bagley, better chance of that happening. And if, against the Clippers, there's not much resistance there. They play small at the 4, so your big is Zubac. Can have a decent game, but overall as a defender, he needs some work. They have him, and they have Serge Ibaka, who's not playing much, and he's kind of aging, and Hartenstein. So I think Holmes would be getting solid minutes if he's not in foul trouble, and definitely at this price tag, he gives you pretty sizable upside. And then if you needed to go cheaper than Richaun Holmes, you have like Hernan Gomez at 42, who's playing backup minutes to Valanciunas. They've taken Jackson Hayes out of the rotation. So if Valanciunas is in foul trouble, that's like the only case you'll see Hernan Gomez play more if he's in foul trouble, or if the game turns into a blowout. But he's a great per minute producer. So that would be like purely a tournament option. And last but not least, with the Hornets being shorthanded off the bench, we've seen Jalen McDaniels play more and more minutes recently. He got up to 27 without Martin last game. He only shot 1 of 8, but he's still been a pretty good producer on the season. He's like at 0.8, close to 0.9 fantasy points per minute. If you give him like 25 to 27 minutes at only $3,100, he does give you upside. I don't expect him to be popular at all. And the matchup against Milwaukee, they play fast. Should be a good spot for McDaniels to get some open looks at the 3. He can even drive to the basket, get some dunks. Overall, he's a fun player to just watch play. Maybe he's not like the best player for fantasy just because he's somewhat risky. But if they do give him the minutes, which they should, just because they don't have that many viable pieces off the bench, then would expect McDaniels to at least return value. And he does give you legitimately like 9 to 10x upside at this price tag. So that's about it for the DraftKings side. We'll probably get a lot of news throughout the day that'll change this up, but just a quick early sort of core plays build for DraftKings. Let's talk about the FanDuel picks. All right, FanDuel point guard plays. You have good price tags on LaMelo Ball. He's only 96. Luka is cheap at 10.6, so both guys are playable. I slightly prefer LaMelo, just saving $1,000. Terry Rozier is almost 8K, so they priced him way up. I'd rather look to Trae Young. I think he looks appealing. Need a value pick, it would be De'Aaron Fox. Price tag is a lot better than it is on DraftKings, but he's been struggling this year, so I might go Brogdon over Fox at only $7,200 against the Hawks, which is a good spot. Then you have Kyle Lowry and Kevin Porter. Both look appealing, especially Lowry if they're missing Butler or Bam would be a very, very good play at only $6,800. In the 5K range, you have Brunson at 56. He looks better at 5K on DraftKings, but if he starts, he's had some big games this year, so he wouldn't be. I wouldn't be mad getting to him. And that's basically it. I don't need to go cheaper than that. At shooting guard, you have Luka. Looks great if you wanted to get up to him. Paul George is like the cheapest price tag he's been in quite some time on FanDuel. He's only 86. He's been living in the 30s recently, 31, 35, 34, 146, but 39, 38. So he's been in the 30s and 40s, but recently last week he's been mostly in the 30s. The price tag has gone so cheap on him that you probably want to take a shot, or at least consider taking a shot. The matchup is solid against the Kings. They're on a back-to-back. Their defense already is poor and probably will be even worse on a back-to-back situation. He's at home. Wouldn't be surprised if Paul George has a very, very good game. And with some of these other guys priced up like Edwards and Russell and Rozier, just give me a guy whose price tag has gone down, and that's Paul George. I don't mind getting to Brogdon at 72. I like his tag. You can play him at 2 positions. If you need a cheaper play than that, in the 5K range, you have Kelly Oubre at 56. He looks good even though he comes off the bench. He gets you 30-plus minutes. You have LeVert. Looks appealing at 54. These guys are not that appealing. Walker's coming off the bench now, and Graham. He looks better on DraftKings. I'm going to go ahead and plug in Brogdon. He's only $7,200. He looks like a guy that is underpriced by $1,000 or so, and the matchup is very solid against the Hawks at home. Small forward, my favorite spend would be Paul George, just based on his cheap tag. But in terms of just overall value, it would be Kevin Porter. He's only 68. He's way too cheap. Running 74 on DraftKings, and you can play him at point guard or small forward. On FanDuel, he looks like one of the best plays. Buddy Hield struggled last night. You can go back to him. He's so affordable, though, at 58. I like Kelly Oubre. You can play him at 2 positions. LeVert. Those would be the 3 guys in the 5K range that give you the most bang for your buck and the most upside. At power forward, Christian Wood at 86 is still appealing. He's more expensive than Sabonis, so maybe if Turner is in, then might prefer Wood slightly, but if Turner is out, you can go Sabonis over Wood. Right now, the matchup is so good for Christian Wood, I'll plug him in. Just want to kind of build a similar team on both sides. KPJ and Christian Wood, at least on FanDuel, they're really nicely priced. At least Kevin Porter is. Keep an eye on Turner. Hopefully he plays today. Holmes is 67. He's $900 more expensive. He looks good on FanDuel, but not as good as he does on DraftKings. I do like $4,900 PJ Washington. I think he'll start at center today against Bobby Portis. He's very cheap. And then you have Morris at 45 if you need a value pick. He looks okay. But moving on to center. Pay-up spot would be Jokic at $11,000. You have Cat would be the second guy at 88. I prefer Cat over Embiid, just saving $1,300. And then you have Sabonis looks appealing. Valanciunas looks great at 82. If you wanted to go even cheaper than that, you can punt with a couple of guys. And the guy that I would maybe look to punt with would, you got PJ Washington, but you can play him at power forward. But a center only would be like Czech Metu at 44. If there's no Bagley, then I feel pretty good that Metu will play 30-plus minutes. If there's no Bagley, and assuming that Barnes is still out, he's at a great price tag. If he puts up 30 at this salary, you'll be pretty happy. You'll be able to pay up for like LaMelo Ball, Christian Wood, maybe get to another guy that's expensive. But overall, that's just a quick early build for both sites. Thank you for watching. Best of luck tonight. Stay tuned for Twitter for updates, and I'll see you all next time.